Hello and welcome to Break Even by Breakfast on the accounting channel with me, Mark Sweetman. On this show, we interview successful startup founders and ask them about their entrepreneurial journey to date. My guest today is Andrew Cameron. He is the CEO and founder of Feeltect. Feeltect has developed Tight Alright, a connected health pressure sensing device that enables consistent delivery of gold standard compression therapy.
I'm Andrew Cameron, the CEO of Feeltect, as you've introduced already. And yeah, we are developing the first connected health technology for measuring and monitoring compression therapy, primarily for the millions of people worldwide who have venous leg ulcers. So venous leg ulcers are chronic wounds that affect about 3.1 million people in the USA and Europe alone each year. And although there's an effective treatment for treating these venous leg ulcers, which is compression therapy, quite often they have weeks or months longer to heal than what is necessary. So we're really trying to develop a technology called Tight Alright that addresses that issue. So we've now been approved both from a regulatory perspective and from an ethics approval to do our first patient study in St. James's Hospital, Dublin. But it's been a bit of a challenge to conduct that study with the recent COVID pandemic, unfortunately. There's definitely been a challenge to have any form of clinical validation while the pandemic has been occurring. Obviously, there's a huge need for shifting resources to essential care to address the pandemic. But it has actually allowed us to focus on other areas of our company's development. So we've actually improved the technology to make it more wearable, to make it more accurate. And one of the recent things that we've been able to do is to enable remote monitoring. So as a class 1 device in the USA and then a class 2A device in Europe, we actually have quite an efficient path to regulatory approval. And we intend to be selling the device in pilot sites, firstly in the USA in the Q3 of 2021. So, we've already sort of, established a few connections with potential beachhead customers in the USA. And yeah, I think that, we have a sort of a stage-wise progression of the technology's development, getting the MVP in use initially, and then developing that digital platform that can really support, a shift in wound care. The one example is the Health Innovation Hub Ireland. They've been a massive support for, getting us to have the innovation tested by end users. We had an initial project, and that was the first clinical validation that we did in the University Hospital Galway. And they're now helping us to actually conduct a second usability study with nurses in the community healthcare setting. And that's extremely valuable to get that initial feedback on the technology. But we've also had a huge amount of support from the clinical champions that we've engaged with ourselves. We've found that reaching out to, the doctors and nurses that are treating these wounds day in and day out, they see a real problem and have a passion to address that problem. So, we've found that, there's been quite a big embrace just from us, engaging with the healthcare community to understand the problem and to understand how we can potentially address that. At the moment, because we're still regulatory approval, we actually don't have this being used in routine clinical practice. But what we are planning at the moment is to have, an initial patient study where we have 90 patients, and that would be where we test the device against the standard treatment protocol, also using the device to guide compression therapy, and then having another arm of the study where we actually have patients themselves becoming involved in the in the use of the device and the use of compression therapy. So we think that that's going to be a really powerful way of demonstrating not just the clinical efficacy of the technology, but the health economic benefit. Yeah, so we've looked at a few different ways that our product could be, I guess, monetized, and the actual product itself comes in two segments. There's the electronics components, which is a kit that involves the electronics device and the power source. And so that is kind of priced at about a €250 mark. And then the sensing arm kit, which is a semi-disposable element of the technology, would come at a price point of €50.